Okay, in this work example, we are going to look at a Poisson random variable and do a few inference procedures and exploratory data analyses. So, in a study done at the National Institute of Science and Technology, asbestos fibers on filters were counted as part of a project to develop measurement standards for asbestos concentrations. An operator counted the amount of fibers in each of 23 grid squares, yielding the following counts. Okay, that's not a grid. I just wrote out 23 numbers there in a sort of easy to follow fashion that you can tell very quickly that there are 23 of them. 31, 29, 19, etc., all the way up to 17 and 24. Assume that the Poisson distribution with a unknown parameter lambda describes the variability from each of the grid squares. Okay, so here's our exercises. Calculate Q1, Q3 and the interquartile range. Plot the histogram of the data and label it appropriately. Use the method of maximum likelihood to estimate the parameter lambda. Test the hypothesis whether the mean fiber count is equal to 25 and comment on the results. Calculate the standard error of the parameter lambda. Okay. Calculate the 90% confidence interval and calculate the probability of fiber count exceeding 30 with the help of the central limit theorem. Okay. So we're going to set up our fiber count data as such. Fiber count is C, 31, 29, etc., all the way up to 17 and 24. Okay. So take a moment there just to sort of check it and then we can move on. Okay, so this one's straightforward enough. Q1, Q3 and IQR. So quantile function calculates the quartiles, okay, but it's quantile and quartile are two different words, but more or less quartiles are quantiles. The interquartile range is measured as the difference between Q3 and Q1, but also you can actually calculate this directly using another command, IQR, capital I, capital Q, capital R. Okay, so Q1 is the quantile of fiber count, that's our data set, and it's the 25th percentile, so 0.25, okay. That gives us Q1, so we are assuming that 20% of the values, 25% of the values should be less than 20. Q3 is the third quartile, or the upper quartile, quantile fiber count 0.75, and there we have Q3, that is 28.5. And the interquartile range, which we can calculate directly using IQR of fiber count, is 8.5. Okay, simple enough one to get started with. So what we're going to do here now is create a histogram. So histogram function creates a histogram of the fiber counts. Okay, actually, it does actually specify to annotate your plots properly. So what we're going to do is go into more detail here. Okay. Now, it's not a very big data set. So really, we're not really going to spend much time interpreting it. But actually, just to specify, main gives the title of the plot. XLab is the label for the x-axis. YLab is the label for the y-axis. Breaks actually just specifies the number of bins, but you can just play around with that if you like. Honestly, for a data set of 23 observations, we don't have a lot to work with, but you know. So that's what I would get there, histogram of fiber counts there, and it seems pretty spread out. Nothing really I could say about that, to be honest with you, that is particularly interesting. But it's annotated properly, and that's good. Okay. So the maximum likelihood estimation. So for the Poisson distribution, the maximum likelihood estimator of lambda is the sample mean. Okay, so essentially just extract the mean of the fiber count. There we have it there, 24.91. Okay. So exercise 4. Calculate a hypothesis test of what we're going to do here is test a hypothesis that the mean fiber count is 25. This is for the entire population of fiber counts that this study is relevant to. So the null hypothesis is that it is 25. The mean fiber count not being 25 is the alternative hypothesis, okay? And we're going to use t-test here. Little bit awkward to use t-test because it's a small data set and it requires you know, some sort of assumptions that are a bit iffy. We'll talk about them later on, actually. T-test performs a one sample t-test to compare the sample mean with a hypothesized mean of 25. So, yeah. Anyway, we run t-test there, one sample t-test, and essentially what we're looking at there is the p-value, 0.9401. Okay. So, we also can look at the 95% confidence interval there, which is 22.54 to 27.28. So our true population mean on the null hypothesis, 25, is in that range. So I'm happy enough to go along with not rejecting the null hypothesis. Based on the p-value, the null value hits 0, that the mean fiber count, 25, cannot be rejected. Also 25 lies in that confidence interval. So moving on to the standard error now. This one's interesting. So the standard error for the sample mean of a Poisson distribution is the square root of the sample mean divided by the sample size. So lambda hat standard error is square root of lambda hat divided by length of fiber count. That's the sample size. Actually, just as a quick remark, I have it coded a slightly different way from the way I've described it. Basically, for a Poisson distribution, the standard error is always equal to the square root of the mean, i.e. sigma equals mu, okay? So for the above expression, as I have coded it there, is the square root of sigma squared divided by n. Okay, but anyway, that gives us a value of lambda hat for the standard error for lambda hat equals 1.0407. Okay. So the confidence interval for the standard mean, we assume a normal approximation for the distribution of the standard error. The confidence interval is calculated using the z-score for the desired confidence interval. So just set up the z-scores there. It's -1 and 1 times the quantile of 0.95. Remember, we're asked for a 90% confidence interval, so that's why we're using 0.95. It's not a 95% one. Anyway, so those are our numbers down there, our quantiles, 1.644 and minus 1.644 and plus 1.644. Essentially, this C minus 1 times Q norm essentially just facilitates the plus or minus. That's it. Okay, so we have them there as Z's. And our confidence limits are as follows. Lambda dot confidence interval dot limits is lambda hat, which is our point estimate, plus or minus z's, which is our z-scores, our quantiles, times lambda dot hat dot standard error, which is our standard error. So there we got it there, 23.201 to 26.624. Okay, that's our 90% confidence interval. Okay, now just out of curiosity, this is where the approximations according to different distributions starts to be noticeable. If I do this using t-test and use fiber count and conf.level equals 0.90, I get a slightly different confidence interval, 22.94 to 26.87. Let's just go back there. It's close enough, but you know, it's just using a different approximation, different distributional assumptions. In the grand scheme of things, it probably doesn't matter too much because really it's a matter of sample size here. So you can only do the best you can with the data you have to work with. Okay, so in this case, we're asked for the probability of the fiber count exceeding 30. Okay, so we're going to use P norm, which is our approximation method. 30 is the value we're interested in. Mean equals lambda hat, the sample mean from earlier on. SD is square root of lambda hat, which is what we discussed earlier on as well. Lower tail equals false. This means we want the probability of X, or the count exceeding 30. Okay, so the probability of the fiber count exceeding 30 is 0.1540. Interpretation. The calculated probability represents the likelihood of observing a sample greater than 30, assuming that the true population mean is equal to the sample mean. Okay. Now, this is something I touched upon earlier on. The central limit theorem works best when the sample size is large enough, but in this case a sample size of 23 may not be considered very large at all, and hence we notice these discrepancies. But overall, it's still reasonable enough to apply the central limit theorem as an approximation. As we spotted there before, the difference between the two estimates wasn't a lot. They were pretty much in agreement with each other. So the Poisson distribution is often used to model count data like fibre counts. However, the central limit theorem allows us to approximate the distribution of the sample mean using a normal distribution, even if that distribution is not normal. Okay. I don't know why I have however there, but I should have taken that out. But there we go. So we leave it there. That's just a quick summary of it. I won't read it out because it's been a long enough video. Okay, we'll leave it there. Bye-bye.